Alright, so I got some context to give, and, well, I guess I have to do that now. Liam McEvoy talks about lollies, CarmenRider makes a commentary on that, a guy called Toxic responds to that, Class Edgelord commentates on that, Toxic responds back to that, and then Class Edgelord responds to that. That's where I come in, because this chain is convoluted. Oh yeah, and I'll be skipping the first 2 minutes and 37 seconds, because arguments that I want to cover happen after that.
No intro needed. It's Class Edgelord. Today we're going to be commentating on an anti-loli who has made a very pointless video on CarmenRider.
No, that's not the correct usage of the word pointless, since Toxic's video does have points against Carmen's video. They aren't particularly good points, but they are still points. So that's not pointless. You can't just use pointless as a buzzword for points that you don't like and expect that to be valid.
Especially since he doesn't seem to know what criticism is or how it works, and he doesn't seem to understand lolicon/shotacon and the concept of it.
It's time to break out the big book of fallacies. Yeah, this is what is known as poisoning the well, where you tell the audience what to expect from your subject before arguments are even presented. You're being preemptive and you're discrediting the video before points have even been made. Can you not do that?
Without further ado, let's get into it.
Yo, what's up guys, Toxic here. Today we'll be talking about someone named CarmenRider. CarmenRider is another garbage commentator. The only points they ever make are the blatantly fucking obvious.
Well, it seems like both of you have added points into the well. Yeah, just because Edgelord's video sucks, that doesn't make Toxic's any better.
You're not gonna elaborate on that much, are you?
No, I'm not going to show you Wikipedia results to a 2-second point. Some things I don't need to show an entire ass video for. I'm allowed to just, say it.
Elaborating with reasoning or evidence could really help with your argument, especially if you're commentating on someone.
I mean, wouldn't Toxic's video be evidence for his claim of all of Carmen's points are the obvious? He is responding to a CarmenRider video after all, and as he said, all of her points are obvious, as in every single point. Now, I would say that Toxic's point is kind of nothing, since what I see as obvious and what you see as obvious may differ, meaning that obviousness is kind of subjective, since everyone has different areas of intelligence, and he never even returns to this point. As in, he never says, well, this is kind of obvious, in response to Carmen's points, so his well poisoning isn't all that effective, and he could have saved this for his final thoughts, but yeah, that doesn't make Edgelord's point any better.
Yeah, and they're also really into that lolly shit. And we'll look at one of her videos. Apparently it's about an anti-lolly. Why does that intro look like it's from a YouTube Kids video?
So not even a minute in, we already see the usage of ad hominems, which weakens your argument. You attack her character instead of the actual argument, making it pointless.
Bruh, I bet this guy saw the word pointless on his word of the day calendar, and now he just wants to shove it in every other sentence. Like, actual ad hominems are trash arguments, but that doesn't make them pointless, since there is still an argument being made. And this isn't even an ad hominem either. Ad hominems are, by definition, ways to discredit an argument being made based on who is making the argument, but there are no discreditings happening here. Toxic is just saying that Carmen's intro looks like one that would be found in a YouTube Kids video. And I find it funny how the guy who poisons the well uses ad hominem as an argument, seeing as how poisoning the well is, in of itself, an ad hominem. Also, you attack her character instead of the actual argument. What do you mean by the actual argument? There is no argument being presented here for Toxic to debunk. debunk. It's an intro. Like, people said that I used the term strawman wrong in my commentary on Nekokoda, but with that video, at least my reasoning kind of made sense. For I'm trans, that should be noted throughout the video, and trans people can't be transphobic are two completely different statements, yet Koda interprets the former statement as the latter, and strawmanning is the act of misconstruing an argument. Here, it just feels like you're using ad hominem simply just because.
It's one thing if you're making a joke, but at least address the arguments and not her character.
Hello again.
Was shitting on her intro, not her fucking character.
This is the part of the video where I bursted out laughing because of how hilariously bad this editing is. Like, I don't know which one of you two did this, but, like, can you not?
Also, what criticism am I responding to? I'm just shitting on her for her intro. I'm allowed to fucking do that, aren't I?
Yeah, you did attack her character. Having that intro is a part of her persona, and when you make an argument, you address the argument, not things that are irrelevant to your argument.
No, it's just an intro. It's not even part of her person since it's supposed to entertain an audience. And ad hominem would more so be based on who someone is or their actions. It's not an argument, and therefore you cannot apply ad hominem to it. For fallacies like ad hominem are poorly made arguments applied to other arguments, as in fallacies work within the context of a debate. If you want to use the word ad hominem correctly, then you'd have to apply it to a debate, as in Toxic arguing against Carmen, not Toxic calling Carmen's intro bad, which is an editing criticism.
If anything, that small clip makes you look like the cinema sins of the commentary community.
Edgelord's point here is kind of vague, but I think Edgelord is trying to say that Toxic is nitpicking, since that's what CinemaSins is known for, and if that's the case, then shut it. The nitpicking complaint is really weak within commentaries, for nitpicking isn't inherently a terrible thing on premise, since small criticisms are still criticisms. Whatever happened to evaluating criticism based on validity? Nitpicks based on production can still help someone improve. Granted, nitpicking can be seen as a bad thing if the full commentary is nothing but nitpicks, or the nitpicks are so small to the point where they aren't even issues, but the former point isn't the case here, and the latter point also isn't the case here, since this is a production nitpick, aka a way to make the production of the video better. Now, assuming that Toxic's point about Carmen's intro isn't just a potshot, Toxic's criticism is essentially nothing since, well, is this like a YouTube Kids intro? There aren't any examples of actual kids intros, so I don't really know. And even if it is, that wouldn't prove that the intro is bad.
And Virgo here back for another commentary.
Today we're going over another anti-loli.
Not another Britney Venti.
Yep. Now before
Starting off, you're not even using your real voice. On top of the fact you look like you're using Gotcha from Great Value.
Again with the ad hominems. Just how fucking immature are you?
Again, not an ad hominem since this isn't being used to discredit an argument. He's just complaining about a voice changer and not Carmen as a person. You can't keep using ad hominem as a buzzword for points you dislike and expect that to be valid. 2016, Joshua Culvyhouse is not someone who you should strive to be. And I don't like Toxic's point either, since it comes off as kind of transphobic. And if Carmen feels more comfortable with the voice changer on, then so be it. But yeah, Edgelord's point still sucks.
Also, CarmenRider uses her voice changer because she's trans, and she plays multiple characters.
Despite the fact that her other character in this video is being played by text-to-speech, but okay then.
She's used her real voice when voicing one of her male characters, Bookworm Green, so you can hop off of her back and address the fucking arguments.
Value.
For starters, there's no argument being made so far. I'm just shitting on her again, because I like to do that kind of stuff. And once again, using the fact that she's transgender to justify her shitty-ass editing isn't really, a good justification or even a good reason. So she's transgender, so she has to use a voice changer. And if she's a woman, then why doesn't she sound like one?
If you're just shitting on her, then why'd you put the hashtag criticism in your video on her?
Because he does make actual arguments. You can riff a video and make arguments in the same video.
What you know about
Before we get into it, let's take a look at the thumbnail of the video.
Haven't even clicked on the video and we already have straw manning. Not only are you straw manning, your strawman is wrong. Use a picture of the Reddit logo to strawman the people on the opposing side as Reddit users. Yet most subreddits go out of their way to ban loli content. In fact, you just proved this yourself in your video, but we will get to that in a bit.
Anyway,
Gotta love how they're trying to act like they know it all when they're literally just flying by the Reddit user stereotype that they're trying to put across.
Yep. And the stereotype is, get this, completely wrong.
let's
Still a fucking stereotype. It doesn't have to be true or not. Your point is completely irrelevant. She still had the intention to put across a fucking Reddit user stereotype. The stereotype doesn't have to be true to be a stereotype.
That's true, but even then, you can't ignore the fact that Liam unironically believes in the stereotype.
Does Liam believe that? I'm certainly not seeing it, and you never really show me a clip of Liam believing it. Like, stereotypes are more often than not used for the purposes of humor, meaning that this could be seen as humor based on stereotypes. So making this type of statement feels like assuming Liam's intent. Not only that, but none of Liam's points are built upon stereotypes. Instead, they are built upon the idea of child endangerment. So this just comes off as stretching for a point.
Carmen's point was, if you're gonna straw man, at least make the straw man correct.
Okay, and what is reiterating Carmen's point supposed to do? Are you trying to say that Toxic is missing the point? If so, you conveyed that like crap, since you never actually point out which point he's missing. And simply reiterating Carmen's point won't suddenly prove that his argument is bad.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
You're not funny.
Hate to be that guy that stops the video every 5 seconds, but this is free content that I'm not gonna let by me. I don't understand why you need to feel the two people at the exact same time say the exact same thing completely out of place.
I assume you're not familiar with CarmenRider's catchphrase that she uses as a joke.
Except for the fact that his point wasn't about the catchphrase joke itself, but rather how two people are saying it at the exact same time, and this is kind of unneeded in his opinion. You're completely missing the point here. I mean, I'd say that Toxic's point is also bad, since it's unnecessarily nitpicky, and it seems like a personal gripe at best. But again, this is not the argument that Edgelord made.
For starters, I'm just so sorry I'm not caught up on the CarmenRider lore. But you know, it's pretty fucking ironic to sell someone they're not funny as a fucking joke.
Where is the irony in that? Is it supposed to be ironic because Carmen is telling Liam that they are unfunny, while Carmen is unfunny herself? You failed to expand upon this point, so now it just feels like a big mess.
But you see, that's the joke. It's meant to be ironic. You're meant to laugh at the irony that someone's shooting down their ego and their bad humor by saying they're not funny is supposed to be funny.
Except, no, that's not the point. Carmen herself says that it's a running gag and nothing more, so this point comes off as reaching a logical conclusion that isn't even there. In other words, the curtains are just blue.
Commonly agreed upon definition is that loli is basically an aesthetic or art style typically found within anime-related material that is centered around youthful and pubescent girls. This happens in every video.
Then fucking re-record your lines like a responsible adult.
Why you feel like putting a blooper in your video? Oh, you're such an irresponsible adult.
That's awkward pause though.
Oh, it was supposed to be a joke?
Yeah, what Liam did was a joke. Liam recontextualized background noise for the purposes of humor. Now, what Carmen did wasn't a joke because she's telling Liam how they can improve their production.
It was so unfunny that I didn't realize it was.
Shut the fuck up. You're literally stiffer than CarmenRider's boner whenever she sees little kids.
You're not funny.
Can I just write off this commentary as bias and call it a day?
We're gonna talk about something called lolicon.
And you blew it. Or straw manning. Shit writes itself.
Who's willing to bet that Carmen is like a Redditor or a Discord mod or something? Cause she seems to get so uppity by what is just a stereotype. Not only that, but it's hard to call this a straw man when it isn't even the crux of the argument. They're just images used to make fun of the other side, almost as if Liam was trying to be humorous throughout the video. I mean, their usage of media clips is proof of this. TLDR, you can't strawman a non-point.
I don't suppose you feel like people who are attracted to that are, well, very attractive to them.
While it's true that a lot of people with controversial or grotesque fetishes look uncanny or are unattractive in their own right, that doesn't mean that all people with those fetishes are gonna look that way.
Grade A editing there, man. Like, you couldn't have cut the video at a part where Toxic actually finishes his wording?
You're literally agreeing with the fact that most people who are attracted to that stuff would look like that. Your point is it's just not all of them.
I was more so trying to make the point that just because someone likes something fucked up doesn't mean that they're fucked up themselves. I'm sure even you can somewhat attest to this.
Did Class Edgelord just disappear?
And lollies.
Wait a damn minute.
Oh, hi, no one asked. I didn't know you helped with this video.
Damn minute.
And I'm sure
You know they have like 0 arguments left when they say no one asked. That's the argument you use when you know you're wrong.
if you
She was actually referring to the YouTuber, but okay.
This is literally what everyone said when I made that point. How the fuck am I supposed to know they're talking about a YouTuber when they say, oh, no one asked?
Then shut the fuck up and take the criticism. Practice what you preach and take criticism. The concept that you literally worship in almost all of your videos.
You know that you're all out of arguments when you resort to saying shut up. Seriously though, No One Asked is a small YouTube channel. You can't reference a small content creator and expect people to get the reference. Also, he literally worships the practice of taking criticism? You mean that he prays to the god of taking criticism? Is that it? See, this is why we know what the word literally means before we use it.
you're wondering that what I'm trying to say is there is a community of people, a very large group of people on the internet that is completely dedicated towards the creation and distribution of what is basically CP.
They're not real children. They're fucking drawings, so it isn't CP. The reason actual CP is morally wrong is because CP hurts actual children physically and mentally. Lollies and shodas aren't real. Thus, any pain they feel has no real consequences.
Then
You're trying to justify being sexually attracted to drawings of kids as if it's not as bad. Yeah, it's not as bad as being attracted to actual kids, but it's still pretty bad. I'm gonna cut their video.
There is no justification. It's fictional porn. It's completely inconsequential by default. Also, people can like loli and shota because of the size play and the age play.
Special thanks to Mushroom Girl for pointing this out in her second video on Carmen, but yeah, there are actual consequences for those drawings.
Federal law strictly prohibits the distribution of obscene matter to minors. In addition, visual representations such as drawings, cartoons, or paintings that appear to depict minors engaged in sexual activity and are obscene are also illegal under federal law. And by the way, this also means fictional characters. It doesn't have to be a real living minor, as long as it is a minor and is drawn to be a minor engaging in sexual activity. It is CP. And you can get arrested for it, at least here in the US.
And yeah, I guess that people can still like it, but that doesn't make them liking it okay though.
Either that.
So far the main point is, oh, they're not real kids, and there's no real consequences. They can't feel pain. I showed you a video of CP, but the child using the video is now dead. Just like the girls in loli or whatever, they're not real, they're not on this planet, they can't be harmed by it because they're not even there anymore. But it's still considered watching it morally wrong.
Also, let's not forget the fact that you skipped the part where I explain why most people who enjoy lolis aren't pedophiles. I'm talking about the part where I mentioned schidiophilia and the fact that people can like lollies for different reasons. It's almost as if you couldn't counter that argument, so you skipped it anyway.
Is there really a problem with him skipping an argument? Like, this is a common practice in commentaries, at least the commentaries that I watch anyway, where someone skips part of a video because they cannot come up with an argument against that part of the video. It's a perfectly fine thing to do. You can't expect him to argue with every single part of a video. If he does argue everything in a video, that can lead to an unnecessarily repetitive experience, and he might stretch for points. Now, if your point is that Toxic is taking your video out of context, well then that point would have still been flawed, since if context is being removed, then it's up to you to prove that context is being removed. You would have to play a clip of the context as being removed. You can't just expect him to argue with every single point in a video. If he does argue everything in a video, that can lead to an unnecessarily repetitive experience, and he might end up stretching for points. You would also have to prove that you debunked Toxic in the context, or that his video is dishonest in order to make your video seem more valid. But you're failing to do that here.
No attraction to children. Also, not all lollies and shodas are kids, and some can be adults who look like kids.
Dang, it's almost as if he was using the general definition of loli, the one that refers to kids, since that's what the discussion is about. You're stretching for points again, so stop it. And yeah, that's all I've got since there are no more points to make, so yeah, subscribe or something. I don't friggin' know.